to order, according to my watch. Hibbing Public Schools, Wednesday, June 4th, 2025 at 3:30 p.m. Daylight Saving Time in the boardroom. I'd like to welcome everybody here. With that, we'll move right to the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you wish. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. With that, we'll move to item 3, public comment.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Certainly.
And we have none today, Mr. Chair. None today, Mr. Chair.
I was ready, so I can't do two things at once. Item 4, administrative reports. Item A, directors. Go ahead.
I just wanted to congratulate the state athletes. I know we've got people from track, tennis, and golf going, so that's super exciting for those teams, those athletes, our district. And then also wanted just to congratulate all of the senior graduates. Graduation is this Friday, so that's really exciting. And just to wish all of our staff a good summer.
Very nice.
Thank you.
And that's all I was going to say, but I won't talk, Chair.
Raise your right hand and say honest.
I was just going to echo what Director Gavardi said.
And it's very nice, thank you. With that, we'll move to item B, administrators.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, we have Mr. Lewis and Mr. Tui, but Mr. Lewis is going first.
Yes. I'll keep it brief. I promise only about 5 slides. Thank you, Chair and board members, for your time. It's always nice to get to present and talk about community ed. Sometimes we're kind of forgotten about with things going on. This here is just our mission statement. It's on our website, on our community's website. So I'm just taking some time today to break down each of these little pieces about how we're kind of meeting that mission. Learning is a lifelong activity. Everyone in the community is involved and is responsible for educating the rest of the community. And community ed serves as a connection to other organizations, creating partnerships and opportunities for involvement. So lifelong learning is lifelong. So our youth and adult enrichment. So this is kind of our numbers up to date. We're still bringing in some registrations for swimming lessons and culture kids will be happening later on this summer. So we've had a little over 3,500 registrations this year, which is outstanding. About 22% of those are non-Hibbing residents, so I think it's great we have some good quality programs that people from surrounding communities like to come and participate in. We had 77 different classes and courses with 318 different sections, and 86% of our registrations occurred online. We started our new program and stuff years ago. Mitch Vincent was on the board and he asked, will we ever get to 100%? Registrations online, and I don't know if I ever want to do that. There's certain people like to come in and see Tiffany and myself and register in person. But 86% is up from like last year, which is like 78%. And when ages 3 months to 84 years. That 3,000 number is registrations that occurred on our ILEO platform. So those are programs that require registration. The 2,000 are in addition to that. They are kind of our drop-in events that didn't require pre-registration. So we are Adults with Disabilities program, Open Swim, our auditorium events, and our Blue Check Cafe that we help support. Early learning registrations and events, so over 500 if you include our preschool, our ECFB, screenings, connections, again, things that require pre-registration. And then some of our drop-in stuff, whether it's our open gyms, family events, and pediatric speaker nights, a little over 400. Everyone in the community shares responsibility. We had 247 staff, instructors, and volunteers across all of our programs this year. And then connections to other agencies. So we have 2 main advisory boards that are required. There's a community advisory board and early childhood parent advisory board. So we have a kind of a broad representation, including parents and community members, teachers and staff, St. Louis County representatives, Head Start, United Way, Parks and Rec, Boys and Girls Club, Assumption, and BCA serve on those boards. And then there's other partnerships throughout the year. Thoughts for our boosters, we do stuff with Thoughts for our boosters with our youth sports. The PTOs, Key Club, they come and help with their adult with disabilities program. Fairview, we've got some grants from them, and they partner with our PI, our program membership. Hibbing Foundation and Walmart, we received some grants this year from them. North Homes presented at one of our pediatric speaker nights. The library, senior citizens in town, daycares, they help advertise for our screenings. Project Care comes and helps in our screenings. Minnesota North College will be doing our College for Kids in August, and then certainly Chisholm schools too that we kind of partnership with community on. Some of our summer offerings with some dates. So Safety Town here at the end of June. Still taking registrations for classroom driving. Will be in July. We are bringing the South Musical Theater, partnering with them for Oklahoma. They'll be starting next week, building your sets and rehearsing. Firearm safety is full. College for Kids in August. Cheever walking is open for registration. I think we had 45 signed up for the school year in the halls here. We're doing summer ECP again this summer over at the ELC. Taking registrations for aquatics and youth adult stuff. And pickleball. Finally, facility use and scheduling. So we do the facility scheduling for stuff after school. They're non-athletic related. We have about 58 different school groups, 54 outside groups use our district facilities this year. So busy. We had about 25 high school pool parties. So not high schoolers, are usually elementary kids, but they do this here at the high school. About 19 to 20 different parties at the Early Learning Center, which is a wonderful spot for the younger kids in that gym. We did do a couple gym party rentals too. So those are all kind of new, just the last couple of years with the ELC being built and with the aquatics program being up and running. And finally, again, thanks everybody for their support. There's a half a dozen different departments in the district that work with every other department. I mean, I think like the IT department and certainly Tyler's department. Community Ed is one of those. Literally all the schools, we've got stuff going on in all the schools. Tyler's department, IT department, the business office, Community Ed is involved with all of them. So I always like to thank those folks because without them, we couldn't do what we do. And special thanks to Tiffany Koski and Lynn, they're secretaries over at ULC, Alex Hansen with the aquatics, Laura McDowell, the house coordinator, adult disabilities, and Hannah Barney over in Chisholm. If you have any questions, I'm happy to try to answer.
How long before we're gonna hit 100%? 100% of registration, is that like a goal?
Yeah, I don't know if we'd ever get that, especially with, we know the aging population here in Hibbing and stuff, so they like to come in and register for their stuff, so.
Good report, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lewis.
I actually do have a question. I just didn't know if you were done with that.
Okay.
Because it's not anything that you spoke about, but it's in regards, and maybe we are going to be talking about this later, I'm not sure, about the email we received on May 30th about possibly getting rid of the wraparound.
Sure.
Yep, the after-school child care for the preschoolers.
Yeah,
Yep.
right, is that what we call wraparound?
Yeah,
Wraparound care. So, I know that you had stated that right now it looks like with that program, we lose anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000. Is that correct?
Yep.
And so, how many students this year did we have in
We
that
had
program?
About 16 enrolled, but only 10 came on average each day. So I think a lot of people registered and kind of hedged their bets, but never really came.
And then, how does that work? So, did we come short because the 16 didn't come consistently? So if they would have, we wouldn't have, or how does billing work for that?
Yeah, it's certainly a combination. We charge $12 a day So if they're not there that day, we don't charge them. So it's a balance between cost for staffing and then, the number of kids coming.
So ideally, how many kids would we want in this program in order to keep it?
Break even.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak for you, Mr. Lewis, but so this wrap care kind of came out of COVID, and as a result of COVID, and if you remember, some of the things that we went through and the situations that we had, we were bringing kids in early because parents were having issues transporting, whatever it might be. And at that time, I think, what do we have, maybe 10 to 12? At that, like, it hasn't grown whatsoever. It's kind of just stayed a consistent number. But what Kirk really struggles with is a lot of the criteria that you need to be like a daycare provider or do childcare, our staff, they don't have those certifications in that criteria. So we're not really providing a daycare, right? Under that formula. But he struggles finding staff to.
We'll still offer the before care, like the before care, kids can still get dropped off early. Usually we have teachers, on duty that, will supervise those kids. It's the ones after the after-school portion, from 2:15 to 5:30. I mean, we have a hard time staffing with qualified adults. I mean, I can get some high school students, but there's a situation where we have a room full of preschoolers with supervised by high school students and no adult supervision in the building.
Okay.
Also, we don't want that to happen. That has not happened, but there's times where it's like, oh, I have to be here, but then I have to be out the auditorium, and I have to be over here. But that aside, the cost to pay staff to be there versus the number of people actually using it.
So what options then are for these kids that have, or these families now who won't have this option? Like, do we?
We bus to local daycare, so that's an option.
So Kirk, his plan is to share other daycare opportunities with those parents to let them know when we've also had, we've had pushback over the years from our daycare providers that we do this. So some of them weren't real happy that we were providing this service, like we're in competition with them.
Okay.
So we've had some meetings and some, over the years with some staff or some providers in town that they were kind of up in arms about it. But I think just the big pieces is just the staffing of it. If you had all 16 show up on every given day, and staff members that we have, you just don't have the people to man it properly.
Yeah.
And it isn't even a break even, and that's the problem for us. Is I think we want to provide that service, but if we can't even break even at it,
It's not a funded program through the state or anything. So
Right.
whatever we make, we have to at least break even.
Well, that's why I was curious
Yeah.
about like numbers, and is it a matter of we have the interest there for next year already, but maybe we raise it to 15. I mean, I'm just thinking I hate to take away something for these families and have it force them to go somewhere else if they like this, but Kim might know this too, but I don't know what ages Boys and Girls Club take kids, if that's too little, too young, I don't know.
I was just gonna ask her, are these the 4-year-olds?
Yeah. So again, just to note that so far we haven't even opened registration for this for next year or taken any money or approved any contracts. So it's not like we're accepting people and they're banking on it. Now we're turning the tables on them. Once they get to kindergarten, they graduate to the Boys and Girls Club. But.
And I know your email said that we didn't take registration, but it sounded like must be a check the box or something on the application of students who are coming back, and it sounded like 18 people were already asking about it.
No, the 17 is what we signed up for this current school year that ended, and 10 had been coming. So.
You haven't had anybody that says, I want to be back next year yet because you haven't asked the question yet, you're saying?
Well, I don't even know at this point how many of our preschoolers are being retained or repeating.
Oh, sure.
Right? So, all of our preschools this year, the 4-year-olds, by and large, 99% of them are moving on to kindergarten. If Amanda was here, she could give a better idea how many preschoolers are being held back. I don't know if any of those kids are those 10 that are currently using the rep care.
Okay. I just heard that there was 18 people who have already selected something that they filled out and asking about it. So that's why I was curious, you know, what is that magic number? Is it something, but again, if there's no guarantee that they show up every day, that we would need, you know, that commitment. I just trying to save something if we can, but if we can't, we
Yeah.
can't, so.
Yeah, and I do believe in talking with some of the daycare providers in town, there's lots of spots. Right? It isn't about lack of spots, correct?
Right.
I mean, from what at least we understand, so.
So that's good, they'll have options.
And we did, you know, we did pitch to one of the daycare providers of them hosting it in our building. You know, they run it, they, you know, kind of take us out of the having to staff it, and they didn't have an interest in doing that. But I thought it was kind of would be a win-win.
Yeah. Yeah. All you can do is ask.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you.
Ms. Tui.
Hi. We do not have anything to display today. It's been a little bit of a busy end of the school year. But a few things to just highlight as we wrapped up the end of the school year. We had a really nice, I'm going to say, 7th grade recognition ceremony. Not necessarily like college graduation because we're still working towards that big graduation. But that was put on May 30th. And it was a great event. PTO helped to support that. We got a lot of wonderful feedback from that. And then on Monday, June 2nd, we had our groundbreaking for the playground, which will be starting June 9th. So we're going to start tear down for that June 9th. Public is welcome to come and help. PTO is certainly still looking for volunteers to assist on those days. But yeah, that will begin, and the groundbreaking ceremony was really nice. So some of our top student fundraisers were able to participate in that, and the rest of our student body was outside with them. So that was great. Yeah, so be looking for that. I think it'll be end of July. That is an anticipated completion, and so yeah, you will all be invited to that. We have targeted services starting at the Lincoln, June 9th. It'll go for 3 weeks. It ends up being 11 days for a few hours in the morning. We have 4 teachers and about 30 students that are signed up for that. And that's kind of where we're at right now. Any questions?
Jen, you want maybe just talk a little bit about your meetings that you had, your transition meetings that the board might be
and
interested
Mr.
in?
Gubarty came with as well, just in case anyone had questions regarding that. But obviously we have a big move coming up. And so it's Tuesday in the morning, Mr. Gubarty and I had a meeting with our Lincoln staff, kind of talked through the end of year procedures, checkout, those types of things, had a moment to, I don't know, thank them for our time with them. And then Mr. Snyder and Ms. Husko were able to take over at that meeting, and we exited, and they had a nice meeting. And then Tuesday afternoon, we did the same thing over here. So Ms. Sikora and Mr. Snyder had a conversation with their staff and then introduced us, and we were able to have our conversation with the high school staff, introduce ourselves, get some input regarding the move. Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Very good.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So can I, yeah, I'll make it short. Can I ask a question? And you may not know this, for us, but after our workshop last week, I'm just curious, what are we going to do with the old playground equipment that's being removed?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but there's nothing that we can do with that old equipment. So it will get torn down. There are dumpsters that will be provided, and then that equipment has to go into those dumpsters
Because
because
of safety.
it's a safety piece. Yep, so that equipment's not able to be reused.
So do we have to do something to get it off our inventory?
Yeah, we'll take it off the fixed asset list.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks, Mr. Stewart.
yeah, absolutely.
Thanks. Okay, with that, any staff? Hearing none, any committee reports? Hearing none, we'll move to next item 5, motion to approve the agenda.
Oh,
I support.
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director Christine. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Item 6, motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director Christine. Any discussion?
I see we have a lot of people moving around and temporary custodians and
Well, to be honest, it's, we do have a couple of jobs that have moved. Mr. Lindstrom that took Jim Jukitz's job, and Todd Sadoff will be taking the carpenter job. But the majority of these other positions are just some temporary work that we helped with the move. So like a handful of PSAs that started yesterday, I believe so, and moved to Greenhaven. They finished the whole building in one day. Everything's packed up, everything's out of the room, and actually I went down there today, about half of the classrooms on the west side of the building, the floors are already tore out, Max Gray's already in there, it's unbelievable how fast they move. So Tyler said that we gained about a full week, like getting those classrooms out early, so they were a little bit worried about August and what school year, but no, they're not concerned. They will make timelines and be just fine, so. Those people really worked hard for us.
I watch them every day there.
Yeah.
Stopping today on the west side too. It made such a big noise, I thought I'm not gonna go in that rush. But they're working hard and a lot, so.
Very hard, and
The work too went just like that.
they worked so hard, that they worked themselves out of a job at the Greenhaven, and Tyler sent them all to the Lincoln yesterday, so they could finish up the Lincoln. So they, again, did a very nice job for us, but that's what these are. It's just that temporary, just recognizing that, the majority of these.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. With that, we'll move to administrative business, page 7. Alex,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
you're welcome.
Item A is a motion to approve the school nutrition program renewal between Hibbing Public Schools and Assumption Catholic School effective July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026.
Support.
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director Kim. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item B is a motion to approve the school nutrition program renewal between Hibbing Public Schools and Victory Christian Academy effective July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026.
I move.
Support.
Moved by Director Christine, supported by Director Kim. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Excuse me. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item C is a motion to approve the renewal of the contract for vended meals with Kitty Carousel for the 2025-2026 school year as presented.
So moved. Support.
Moved by Director Christine, supported by Director Kim. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item D is a motion to approve the renewal of the contract for vended meals with Children of Grace for the 2025-2026 school year as presented.
I move.
Support.
Moved by Director Christine, supported by Director Kim. Any discussion?
I just have a question, and maybe this is later on in the year, but I recall last year, we also had, what was it, Dream Weaver Daycare on this? Are we not renewing theirs?
Good question.
I have not received anything from INAC confirming or
Yeah, that's
not
it.
confirming
Yeah.
Okay. I just noticed it wasn't on here, but maybe it'll come later. I don't know if there's like a certain deadline that it has to make or whatnot, but I
that. Yeah,
thought
usually
it was
they're
weird.
approved by July 1st, but I'll
Oh.
double check on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because they're always on there. So, yeah.
Yeah,
Good, good point.
Okay, thank you for looking.
Item E is a motion to approve the food service management contract between ISD number 71 and INAC Inc. effective July 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2026.
So moved.
Moved by Director Sarah, supported by Director Jeff. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item F is a motion to approve the 2025-2026 resolution for membership in the Minnesota State High School League as presented.
Support.
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director Kim. Any discussion?
Did the fee go up with that this year?
I think a little bit they did. I keep talking to the representative and that, they said, well, you're not alone.
Do we,
The price is-
do we know what that is, Alex? Compared to last year?
This one,
Do you know, Rick?
well, I believe this one is just the resolution, and then Mr. Cleese pays an activity fee for each activity that ran. I think that's separate from this. I can find those dollar amounts out for you.
I just curious, because, you know, over the years, we've talked about the fees that we pay the MSH, what we get.
And I have two questions. One is related and one is kind of related. The advisory committee, Sarah, you're on there and Jeff's on there, right? And then on this application, there's one parent, Trent Janicic, a faculty member, Catherine Wiesman, and a student, Easton Fisher. Are there more people on, is that the same AD advisory committee that you guys are the school board reps to?
Honestly, I've never been contacted about a meeting all year.
Oh,
We had one last year, and the only ones who were able to attend were me and Todd Skaya.
oh, so Todd Sky is on the committee.
I'm gonna make that assumption that he is, because he was there, and then it was with Keith Turner.
So how do we get our community reps? I'm curious how we get our parent or community reps on that committee. You know, like we appoint our board reps.
I would assume it's probably the athletic director.
I don't know.
Yeah, people used to volunteer. There are a lot of people talking, but it's sports and then the MAA and stuff, and then people wait. But otherwise, I don't know either.
And we've had also where our new AD, Mr. Please, has tried to set up some meetings. Time didn't work with the teacher reps, so I know there was emails going back and forth. But, so I've only been involved in like one real face-to-face meeting and then email correspondence with the group, but besides that, I'm not sure.
My second question, I think we were going to approach Chisholm about taking over, being the lead in some cooperative sports. One of them, for sure, soccer, starts relatively early. And if they don't, do we have to hire a coach?
Yes.
Like, do we know where that's at?
Yeah, so they're meeting Monday, I believe. I haven't seen a notice or anything, but I believe they're gonna talk about it's on their agenda is cooperative sponsorships, like all of them. Because we also talked about swimming, we talked about football, and they weren't ready for football, but they were shaking their head and thinking about swimming and some other stuff, so kind of interested to see what they say on Monday.
That's a regular board meeting, right?
I believe, no, I think it's a special or
Because I talked to Raha about that too. He said, we're gonna get together, just try to get through the straight out, so.
And they, if you hadn't heard or don't know, Mr. Morrison has resigned and he's leaving the district, and they're going to be searching for a new superintendent. So I don't know where they might just want to pump the brakes and all this, just not knowing where everybody is. I don't know, but
Where's he going?
Reamer. Good job, Reamer.
He's from that area, somewhere in
He lives just like Cohasset, like north of Cohasset. So he drives long ways every day. But this would be a little bit shorter for him, but not much, really. It's still 30, 40 miles down there, so.
And the benefit would be that the cost of our field rental in Hibbing is substantially higher than what they rent their fields for in Chisholm. They would hire the coach. But just to make it perfectly clear, we would pay our pro rata share to the Chisholm schools, and it would just be flipped. So,
Yeah, right now, I think we have boys soccer, and don't quote me on the numbers, but I think it's girls soccer. Maybe about half a dozen Chisholm kids, and there might be 20 or 30 Hibbing kids. So if right now, we take the whole cost of the program, divide by the number of participants. If Chisholm has 6 participants, they just pay 1/6 of that. To do the math, we would do similar. If we have 30 kids there and they have 5, we would pay the bigger chunk, yes. And it is, their contract pays their coaches less than we pay. They would not have the field rental issues if they have a field. That's an issue, I think, is they're just talking about what field do they use and where would it be, but they own those fields. They have an agreement with the city where they own them now. Their transportation costs are less because their transportation is in-house. It's their custodians, their janitors, their workers. So again, the overall costs are less. We're not saving them $100,000 by combining soccer, but roughly it was about $20,000 for us, and that's important now for us, is every penny makes a difference.
But it would be a savings to them too, because they're paying a pro rata share. So
Correct.
overall, between the 2 districts, by doing it, it would be a savings. And it is not that Hibbing is not intending on paying their pro rata share.
No, not at all.
Over the years, we've had the discussion,
Time after time.
and, are we piecemealing? Nothing against the soccer program, I want the soccer program to succeed. But are we picking soccer and then we're not gonna do swimming, or are we gonna pick football and they're gonna say, no, up your helmet? I mean,
Yeah.
there has to be a discussion on whether or not the future of the program, whether it's our program or theirs, is gonna succeed without us,
It's gotta be
the dirty
sustainable.
word, collaborating to do something. I mean, it's not, and I just don't like the idea that we can piecemeal one sport to keep that going, and then not all sports. It just, and I may be wrong, which I've been wrong before, so.
What if we're gonna afford it without losing any money?
Well, and
I understand that, there's money involved, I know, and you want programs to succeed because we have 20-some kids that want to play soccer, and right now, we don't have a program set up for them to do that, correct?
Well, and we do, we
We don't have a coach.
We need to hire a coach. We have applicants. I
Yeah.
mean, we
But
would have to go through the process, but we do, if Chisholm says no, we'll be able to put it together and have a fall season. That'll happen, but,
I just don't want to see us losing a sport because we can't afford it when we just laid off a number of teachers and employees at this district to compensate for our $2 million deficit we have to cover. And are athletics going to suffer from that? Or we don't want academics to suffer. So are we in the catch-22 stage?
yes.
So-
Yeah.
But aren't our numbers down in swimming as well? And isn't swimming for girls, is that in the fall?
Yes.
Yes.
So soccer numbers are down, swimming numbers are down.
But-
We want to have we want viable
Yeah,
programs.
but if they have a swimming program that's gonna come over here, we have a swimming program that's been successful year after year after year because of the coaches and the kids that are involved in it. Are they gonna get that, are we gonna, I'm not saying filter our program, but are they gonna fall in line with what we do here to make it a successful program? I'm just,
Well, I think
Stated
the
right here.
ask was that the program go to Chisholm, right? The
Mhm.
swimming and soccer.
I think we would still, we would utilize our pools for practices and probably some meets, we'd probably share it. I don't think, they have a 20-yard pool, everything in swimming is meters now. It's a yard, it's 20, and some coaches don't like swimming in that because it's one extra turn, it throws your timing off on relays.
it's like swimming in the old pool here.
Yes. Some coaches don't care at all, they just want their kids in the pool and swim, and, but some teams might not want to swim there, depending on whatever the circumstances are, but yes.
So when do these, there has to be a cooperative agreement, I'm assuming,
Yep.
right? Whether it's Hibbing Chisholm or Chisholm Hibbing?
Yep.
And that has to be done.
There's a date, it's prior to the first day of practice, and we would still have time to do that. I don't know if it's 30 days, but we have some time. I know James is aware of that, so.
Okay.
I wanted to let you know too that.
And are we the Hibbing Chisholm Blue Streets? Are we the Hibbing Chisholm Blue Jackets? Are we,
Yeah.
I really,
Well, if we got that far, I think that's that's small potatoes kind of stuff.
Oh, I understand it is,
Yeah.
but I'm just,
And maybe maybe it's a kid's decision, right? Maybe it's like they did in Rockridge, they got kids together, they talked about team names and colors and like, maybe we do something, you know, if
Run a
we got to that
contest.
point. Yeah, absolutely.
but we can't have one name for one sport,
No,
one name for another sport.
no,
Just-
correct.
It was bad enough we had the wrong name up at the high school tournament this year.
Yeah.
It was a little embarrassing.
I want to let you know too that Mr. Please, the 7AA, 7AA high school league committee that's in our area was looking for a superintendent. So James caught me in a moment of weakness last week and he said, hey, would you want to do that? And I said, yes, I think. But I didn't even, there wasn't any approval. They just sent me an email that I'm in. So I am the superintendent rep on the 7A high school league board. So I know we've had that conversation before about trying to get events here in town, and so that's my focus. I'm going to try to
7A,
7AA,
double A.
7AA.
Okay.
Yeah.
You do a good job.
Well, I'll do my very best. Yes.
State tournaments become here.
Well, I don't know if I can. In the first year, I don't know if I can accomplish it. Maybe the second year we can get two
You got your
seconds.
second year then.
See how much you order.
Yes, but and when I know the board in the past, we've tried to get EDs on those committees, but I had an opportunity, so I took it. So.
Good for our school. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you.
Item G is a motion to approve the revised updates to the 2025-2026 school calendar as presented.
So moved.
Support.
Moved by Director Egan, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion?
A quick comment. I have more calls about families having, us not ending school on Friday instead of Monday this year. And so it looks like we're gonna end on Tuesday next year, but I try to explain to people, it's, you know, like we have to fit in
Yeah.
the number of days of school, we have to meet our bargaining agreement provisions. So it's not just that easy because of the way the calendar
You
falls. So
always- yeah.
I just told folks if they don't want to send their kids to school on Monday, then that's their
Skip.
option. So I just want to make it clear that next year's school ends on Tuesday.
And this change really, from what I saw, was adding Martin Luther King Day as a no school day and then adding the visitation day, the beginning of school. So it wasn't a big change, but just for people at home to realize what this change was.
Correct, and it was really just more, we didn't list on here that school was not in session, and we changed the visitation date, calling it open house, just changing the name, so, but really no other change there. Wanted to say quickly, and I don't have all the facts, I just got a little bit of information, but I sat through a legislative update Monday. It looks like, from what I heard and what I understood, is that all schools, if their board chooses to, could start school before Labor Day, moving forward. So, typically, like, you have to have a construction project, or you have like some other reasons, or to start before Labor Day. But again, like, if we were to start before Labor Day, this, finishing on a Tuesday, like some of that, we could maybe correct that. But I don't know what that does in our area with starting before Labor Day, and people say kids working at resorts, and that, I don't know if that's a big issue for our community or not, I don't know, but.
If you get up and cook,
Yeah.
my son-in-law grew up in cooking. Every kid can get a job at a resort.
Right.
And they work right through that Monday or even longer, start closing stuff down. It's a big, up there, it's a big deal.
Okay.
So is that for 26, 27?
Yes, like I think it's effective July 1. And again, I mean, they don't even have anything actually baked down there yet. It's all just kind of mixed, and it's not done yet. But that was the lead that we got, is that, the only reason I thought about that is because, again, I had the same thing. I had people confused about what our last day was. Do I send my son or daughter today? Do they go to Washington? Don't go to, I mean, we created a little bit of a confusing situation at the end of the school year for people. But that might be something to think about when I get a little bit more information. At least I can give you the options we could see what our community feels
We
about
almost need to wait on that for a year or what.
it. Sure.
Let the neighbors experiment with it.
Sure.
So would that be something, if we were to do that, we would have to negotiate into the United Educators contract?
We would.
Well, it'd be nice to be done at Memorial Day, like just not come back after that holiday, because I remember that,
Absolutely.
there was a time where that took place years ago.
Absolutely. And I don't know many teachers that wouldn't want to be done, you know. Like everybody around us was done right the Friday before we were. And you really feel that as a staff member when everybody else is graduating and, you know, you feel it when you're here for an extra week. It's, but ours, you know, our calendar had different circumstances. We approached the REDAC training different than our neighbors, so that's why our calendar is a
Is there
little bit
potential
different.
for cost savings by ending in May instead of June? As far as paying for insurances, things like that?
With employees,
Yes.
it would not make any difference, because they're basically, even if you're a 9-month employee, you're taking benefits year-round and getting paid year-round, so it wouldn't, I mean, I don't think it would.
Excuse me, I just have one question. You mentioned the legislature.
Yes, sir.
Have we had any luck with Mr. Igo or Mr. Farnsworth? With the city? You know, we talked about getting together with these groups and discussing what the future of the programs are going to be here and how the school's going to go. Has anything been done with that?
Do you mean, so we had met with them, when was that?
Right after, right before Easter?
We had them here at the high school.
And any progress from that?
They you know, they'd listen but they're not a controlling
They have no power.
party.
Right.
Yep.
How about with the city? Do we had any luck with? I know we met with them once. I was at that one.
Nothing since then.
Okay.
No reach out, no. I've met with other people in the city and chief and the administrators separately, and I know Tyler does also, but
Yeah, I was bringing it up because I know they're looking at some, with the memorial building, some changes, certain parks being closed, certain charges for more parks, talking about baseball.
Yep.
So, I was just wondering if.
no, not at this, and our agreements are all, they're all good. I mean, there's not we don't need to negotiate at this time, so we're working off our old numbers still.
Good,
Yeah. And hopefully it stays that way.
thank you.
Yes.
Did they do anything with the easement for the city property, like behind the college? Or they were going, the city was going to investigate the property
Oh,
about doing?
I don't know. I haven't talked to Tyler. You're right. You're saying they were going to maybe put a road,
Yeah,
like right where the soccer
yeah.
fields are, going across to the grandstand by racing there.
Yeah.
I don't know if they've, we do that. They do that kind of regularly with us. Like, we'll give them permission to be on our property to look at something, and they'll give us permission to be on theirs. So it's kind of routine, but I don't know if it happened since we met last time or we talked about it. But
Just so you know.
I'll find out for you, Christine, if they.
Yeah, the state's putting in 5 roundabouts, starting from 37th, 25th, by Palucci, by the Taylor, and 12th.
That's not final yet, is it?
Was that?
I thought that was just a proposal.
I think it's pretty much a given what they're gonna do. Which might eliminate some of that congestion, especially on 25th. That, we keep talking about putting a bridge over there.
I know I did, Luke from the Hibbing Public Utilities, he's also kind of been involved in that process, so I just did a letter of support for him recently about the plan that they had here on the corridor. But I didn't think it was that far along. I thought they were still in a planning stage, like 5 years out still.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went to the meeting that they had at City Hall.
Okay.
So, but it's something that they're gonna start in one area, not doing all 5 at the same time. But they're gonna start with, I think the first one is up on 37th by the drugstore up there, and then work their way to 25th. And I think it's 1 a year, what they're looking at doing. So,
I just hope they design them in such a way, especially like on 25th and 23rd, recognizing that there's like our kids, our students, a lot of foot traffic, and I hope it doesn't become more dangerous.
That's a concern of mine. I think it's going to be worse off. I don't think it's going to help.
But the one over here, it's got a sidewalk you can go, boy, to me, it looks dangerous.
Yeah.
Uh-uh.
I see a lot of people crossing on 37th, so I go that way quite a bit. I've never seen a problem with it. greatest thing since sliced bread.
But is there a lot of foot traffic on
Yeah,
Highway
there actually is.
87?
It's from the Hill Crest facility, et cetera. There's people walk, I came through there like 4 times today.
Well, maybe we could get, I don't know how that works, but maybe we could get them, especially at 25th and then right by the bus garage, some type of push crosswalk
Yeah.
that stops people or something.
Yeah.
Like that, I can't imagine that you're just gonna have all those kids walking across there every day, and then those cars are just looping through the round, like it's gotta come to a halt somehow.
They're the experts, you know, you can sit here and second guess about it.
Yeah.
That's why we have that deficit, we're the experts.
I look at all the crossovers and all the work that they do in the cities. We don't need anything fancy. It wouldn't need, special block or look pretty or have stone on it. It just, we need a way to get across the road. Just-
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you.
Item H is a motion to approve the resolution eliminating positions and laying off certain employees in the Aspen bargaining unit as presented.
Almost.
Support.
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director Christine. Any discussion?
Mr. Chair, if I could
Sure.
just let the board know and also just the public that this will be the last step in the reductions that we started this spring. We made reductions in teaching staff. We have an administrator that is leaving the district, high school principal that we're going to fill from within, not replace. And then these AFSCME positions is the last step to the approximately 2.8 million that we cut from the budget going forward for 25, 26. So these positions, you can see the names down on the bottom. Hopefully we'll read the resolution too. But we broke them out by position and building so you could see. You can just see, all the recent hires are at the Washington, right? 11 recent hires, this last year. And staff are concerned about that going ahead next year. Like, what does that look like? And again, we follow the law. We have to do what's required, but we have to count every penny. We have to look and see where we're at. If we have a one-on-one student that could potentially be shared with another, as another shared pair or another student, we've got to take advantage of those. So they're meeting with every single parent and IEP and having those conversations about coverage and what that looks like. And some of those conversations are going to be tough conversations, just so you know. It's hard sometimes to pull back some of those services when you start providing them. But again, the folks on this list, they all have recall rights for 4 years. So if we're looking to add positions back, they're going to get the first call when that happens. So another sad step in this process, but this is kind of the final step. And then Alex will be moving forward here with the budget for next year and talking about finance meeting coming up here, I think, before the first week of July, and we're moving ahead with next year's budget. So.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. It was unanimous, and thank you. With that, we'll move to item 8. Superintendent Rick.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to give you just a little update. Since the last board meeting when the board directed administration to move forward and start planning for a referendum, I've done an article, a press release in the paper, local news agencies. I did a face-to-face interview with Fox. I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. We are working on just a simple sheet that we can share with the community, share with all of our staff. It just gives the simple information about what we're doing, why we're having a referendum, why we're asking for the public's help. That should be coming very soon. And I want to remind people again that I keep asking the questions at meetings, like are we on track or where we're supposed to be? the people that I work with are saying that we're just fine. We're not behind the 8 ball. I think like sometimes staff, even staff are like, what's going on at the referendum? Where are we at? Some of that hasn't been finalized yet. We're still kind of working on the pieces of all of it. But I plan to write, to create an email here very soon to staff that it lays it all out, explains everything, and then also that sheet that we all can have. I sent you a little more cumbersome document with a whole bunch of information in it. Trying to kind of get that into a simple sheet that people can understand.
So one concern question I've gotten on it is that there's some confusion as far as $150,000 home, what they'll be paying. I think it's at $10.
I think it's
$150 and under.
$175,000 home. They're estimating it was about $17 a month
Okay.
if both questions were approved.
Okay. There's some confusion as far as
Yeah.
who's
I've
paying
heard
the
that too.
10 and who's paying the
Yeah.
17. Yeah, so I think that needs to be clarified.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we've worked with the RAP strategies on that press release, and that was something that they added at the end. And again, in hindsight, I agree. When I read it, I don't think it was very clear. I understood what they were trying to say, right? That we found a way that it would be $10 less a month for those folks, and that's what we're trying to do, but it didn't come across very clear in that message, so.
How will the information get out when you say our community members? Obviously, it's easy to get out to staff, it's
Yep.
easy to get out, on our parents where, some people get the paper, some people don't get the paper. Like, so how do we reach everybody? Or do we just do our best in the ways that we know how and hope that people who don't fall under those categories still get that information? How does that work?
I think all the things that you said we're going to do, but then we also identified the parade this summer, right?
Okay,
I mean,
sure.
there's a whole bunch of items as we kind of look through that community events that we'd be a part of and just be out there.
The parade's a good idea, there's a ton of people that show up.
Yes, yes. And we've got a couple of floats. And,
Oh, the fair, yeah. Good enough.
whether we do our own float or do, tag on to career academies or another float or with the band or whatever it might be, but yes, all those type of events, like Limes and Pines, and, I will be out and about this summer with, I gotta get lots of sunscreen and get a big straw hat so I don't get burnt, but we'll just be out and about at all those types of, Side Lake Parade, we talked about a whole bunch of different events, so there'll be lots of opportunities if any of you are interested and want to participate.
Put it in the billboard too. I understand.
Yes.
Well, I think between the social media, and even HVAC,
There's a
HVAC
lot of
has
talk
made
already
people
about
watch
that.
that,
Yeah.
so.
I think the one thing that was helpful to me in the last meeting was when we're operating in our official board capacity, like today at a meeting, we can provide information, but we can't do anything that would say in like, vote yes. In our personal life, so if we wanted to put a sign in our yard, we could do that, but not as a board member. So even like a float, our school district could pay for an informational brochure with facts, but we couldn't say, vote yes. It's really
Give
weird.
them handouts without saying vote yes,
But we can't use public funds
no.
to pay for that if we do more than give information.
Yeah. Yep.
Did I understand that correctly?
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I was confused. I mean, he said in other districts that the superintendent basically is kind of isn't really involved because the superintendent will make a mistake and be someplace and say, you should vote yes. And we're not. I guess we're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to just provide information, provide the facts. So that'll be that. That's what I'm going to do.
I'm gonna get you up on stage at the street dance and you can tell everybody all about it.
Well, and I don't know, have you said at this meeting, as far as like a catchphrase, I think what tentatively was agreed upon was Blue Jacket proud, honoring our past, empowering our future. Do I have that
That's our
right?
catchphrase. Yeah.
So I don't know if we've said that here before.
I don't believe. Yeah. And today, we have a team that's kind of works. Helping us behind the scenes. They created a little branding logo today with that message on it. So all that's coming. I'm sorry, I'm kind of talking. You probably haven't seen a lot of this. Director McLaughlin has, and were you at any of our meetings yet? Have you been to one? Okay. But there's lots of things happening in the background, and it should be coming out here very soon, I would think, so.
So as long as it doesn't say vote yes,
Yes.
can we have somebody with a cricket machine, so right behind Chair Berklich's head, it can say Blue Jacket proud, honoring our past, empowering our future.
Oh, it's not a bad idea.
So,
Yeah, make one of those right there.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to switch chairs with Alex, but
I'm gonna go like this.
yeah.
And one of the questions, I've gotten some calls, but one of the questions that I received that might be helpful for other people in the community was, is there any way that the cost of the levy can be assessed more like a flat tax? So every household would pay a fixed dollar amount, every apartment, and it's in state statute that it can't be assessed that way. It's gotta be based on
Yeah.
your property
Yeah.
market value.
I think they tried that once a long time ago when they had that
Yeah,
shut down.
can't do that. So that was a question.
I know that they also, the team that we're working with, they said we should just have a place marker at every board meeting, and board members should feel free to just say what they're hearing, good, bad, whatever. We should, if it's bad, we should talk it out, and why is it bad, and try to give people answers if they need answers, and, or good. So if you're having those conversations or talking to people, make a note, and we'll bring them back and just, kind of vet them out a little bit in a discussion at the meeting, yes. Yep.
You know, and the other thing, people keep asking this question, and we need to make it perfectly clear. They're like, are you cutting marching band with the budget cuts? And I have repeatedly said, we are not cutting marching band because of the budget cuts. I have heard the interest is not hugely large. I don't know if that's changed in the last week, but we're not cutting Hibbing's marching band because of budget cuts.
I have heard from Mr. Berg that the 8th grade students all have jobs. They have to work this summer and he's having trouble getting interest from the 8th graders.
The problem we're gonna run into, in all honesty, is that social media, the stuff that's being said on there already is just toxic about raising your taxes, more accountability. And it's the same small group of people who base their opinions on nothing more than rumor and innuendo, but it just builds. And people actually make their decisions based on a lot of that stuff, so. Whether we respond to that or have our own social media activity, I don't know.
I just wondered, can we have a meeting like this and invite the public to the meeting and just say, if you got a question, come to the meeting? And we had plenty of people show up and they thought the band was going down, so.
Call a special meeting for a certain thing. No
Just
action
for the
will be
record,
taken,
nothing,
but it's
just
just an
information.
informational
Yeah.
update.
Mostly like a rumor control officer, just to filter out all the garbage.
What we talked about doing, I don't know if you've seen this, but when Rockridge and Evelyn were going through their consolidation, every once in a while they'd have the whole front page of the shopper would be like Q&A. It'd be like, why are you combining schools? And they give an answer. Why, what's the benefit? What's the financial benefit? They give an answer. So what I was hoping is like some of the questions that you have and that you gather, I would start recording those and create answers. And we'd create a document like that, whether it's on our website, whether it's I buy some space in the paper, but I think that was useful, I think, and it would dispel a lot of myths, so.
Well, that's why I was asking how it was gonna be communicated out to the community, kind of because of that. And I thought too, like even during that presentation and maybe even in the email that you sent, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't there gonna be a link that people can go to?
Yes.
So that link will have all the facts for
Absolutely.
people. So I mean,
It'll
I
be right on
think,
our website.
yeah, so I mean, I think even just, getting that link out to people and just, that's something, that we can share, that we can provide.
Yep.
So we're not giving, misinformation and just directing it to the link where all the facts are.
Yep.
I still am getting questions about why are we building in the Green Haven? I mean, that could be.
Why we're modeling
That could be
reading.
one of the questions
Sure, yep.
to put on the website.
But I do,
The link that you're talking about.
Safety
Yeah.
and health.
well, and it's restricted fund, it was designated funding. But I agree with Director Polter, you know, it really is, some of the stuff on there is so horrifically out of bounds, inaccurate, and I'm afraid, I mean, I would love to sit down with people and explain some things that they have questions about, because I feel like until they see the facts and hear the facts, they're not gonna get past that, and then how many other people are they gonna tell, and people are just gonna shut down. So,
I'm sorry, but facts don't matter anymore. That's the bottom line. It's a group of people, it's a significant group, I think. Facts don't matter.
Well, I just look at, you know, when we had our meeting about band or our initial cuts and how many people came, and we did that presentation. We were very transparent about things, that, you know, how we got here, why this is taking place. And I mean, I got a ton of good feedback, or at least people saying thank you, because
Yep.
I thought this, but until I saw that, and then they were telling people, you know what, you know, you think you know until you really see what
Right.
this is all about. And so, I mean, I think when it comes to the referendum, the more that we can do that, the more we can put out, the more we can be transparent and talk about it and have that information at people's fingertips, the better they're gonna feel about it, the more trust that they are going to feel about all of us in the district. And I think that can only help, because I think that was a perfect example of, you know, people having certain things that they thought were the truth. You know, even some of the speakers that we had said, you know, this is what I'm hearing from teachers, from people outside, and then we shared, and it kind of, they had to kind of maybe go back and realize that that wasn't
Yep.
the truth, what they initially thought. So,
Right.
and I mean, I understand we're never gonna be able to control what people think, what they say, you know, but, and you're always gonna have people on both ends of the spectrum of support, non-support, positive, negative. But we, you know, we can control what we can, and we can control what information we provide. And I just think if we do that, you know, that's where we can make it more of a positive situation.
I agree.
And some of these conversations we've had with the firm that we're working with, and they basically just come right out and say that if it goes right, if things go well for us, 40% of the people are gonna vote no, most likely. And you're not gonna change their minds, right? And they also said there's some folks that, you know, you never change their mind, right? You have to realize that at some point and maybe stop trying, right? And then there's the folks that are in the middle, and that's probably the ones that we need to really focus on, is the ones that have a question mark, should I or shouldn't I? We have to target them and let them know why. But yeah, I've seen some of the stuff, and like, you'll never sway that person. They've got their mind made up, but yeah.
but I'd like to do that too, as much as practical, is get people in as early as we can, and we might not have all the answers and know exactly what the plan is, but maybe that's part of it, is empowering people to build the plan with us as a board, so it becomes, I mean, and not in a managed way, but get their input, understanding we're not gonna satisfy everybody, but if they can feel empowered and part ownership in, this is our community's referendum, this is our school, it's important to continuation of our school. Are those people gonna be our yes people then to go out and try to change other people's minds? And it's probably a lot of the same people that were here for the band meeting.
The other question I have is, if you get the information out there, this is what we need to do, it's all positive. What if we fail? What's gonna happen to the school? I
Yeah,
think that's something that has to be discussed.
absolutely.
Well, you can tell them, look what happened to get to this point. How will that carry on and do the same thing the following year? Or, yeah, and then the legislative, maybe they can kick in. What if they don't do it? Yeah, it's a hard balancing act.
Then we almost have to have a chart that shows the impact. If
Exactly.
this does not, if this fails, this is what you're facing. And if they think that just cutting the band is gonna be an issue, it's gonna be a lot more than that.
Well, but you're not trying to scare them into voting.
No.
Okay, no,
You want to give them all the information they need to make
And
their
tell them
own
why we're in
decisions
it.
how they want to.
Go after your government or legislatures for,
Well, here's the pluses, here's the minuses.
yeah. Here's how much we need,
If
at least to break even. We're not gonna rehire 20 people. It'd be nice if we could do it.
And I sincerely believe that, that presentation, when that's been shared with people, I really think there were some antis that really, when they looked at the facts, they understood it, and I think it helped them turn the corner. And I just hope we can do that sooner than later. I really do. And even if it means informally, I would be willing to sit down if there were a couple board members that wanted to. We didn't want to do a formal meeting and just have conversations. And I think the sooner we can get out ahead of it and try to get more people on the yes side of things,
And
the better off we're gonna be.
The thing there is, we're not alone. We didn't screw up the districts or up here. The whole state is like that. The country too. We talked to the legislators, the governor that can't explain it. So something's gotta be done on that end too, so we know what to work with.
Hard to explain is pretty well. Hard to explain is pretty well.
Yeah.
I do, Mr. Director Egan, I do think though that if the referendum were to fail, and then depending on the percentage of the votes and how close we were, we would probably ask again. And it maybe even 2 additional times, right? And depending on the scenario. I mean, there's a lot of districts that, they don't get an approval until they're third or fourth time. You just have to keep messaging and, and then it's just the timeliness, we could potentially, if the question failed in November, we could potentially ask again in February. But we have to kind of weigh all that out and see where, if it fails
Find a white.
at a wide margin, then that might not make sense. But
Right.
cross that bridge when we get to
But
it.
in the meantime, you know what, we've got a lot of good things and good people in this school district. And it would be it's a shame to have to do the cuts that we've made right now. And I would hate to have to pare it back even further.
Okay, with that, we'll turn it over to Director Polcher.
Motion to adjourn.
Without objection, motion to the meeting will adjourn. And it's 4:37. I'd like to thank everyone for coming here. Meeting is adjourned.
I need the rest of it.
Hibbing Public Access TV may be viewed on these platforms: hpat.org with video on demand, Mediacom Hibbing 802, 805, and 807. On Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Download the Hibbing Public Access TV app for your iPhone and Android devices. Find us on Facebook, YouTube, and Vimeo. For more information, scan the QR code and go to hpat.org. Hibbing Public Access Television would like to thank Mediacom for all the years they have supported our organization. Visit their office at 3105 East Beltline, Suite number 2, here in Hibbing, and give them a call at 855-633-4226. For over 25 years, U.S. Bank, located at 211 East Howard Street in Hibbing, Minnesota, has provided office and studio space for Hibbing Public Access Television. We are thankful for their ongoing support.